Hello and welcome to Steve's Vintage Model Builds. It's Steve here again with another kit review. Got something a little special today. I'll tell you about it in a minute. But for the moment we're going to remove this. And a couple of updates. So I had this in the stash for a while, and it was part of the I reviewed it as part of the Academania series in January, and so I didn't want anything too difficult or whatever the other night, so I just decided to sit down and start this, and it's a nice little kit. Most mature modelers would probably say it's a weekender kit. I tend to take a little bit longer with my things. But here we go, work in progress. Got the fuselage and the wings on. As you can see, they were just tiny gaps to fill. But the thing was that I wanted this in flight, and the only option was for wheels down. So I put the landing gear doors on, and they were huge gaps. They were meant just to hang down open. So I puttied that over, and that's waiting for sanding. Got this part done. Pretty happy with the way the cockpits turned out. I don't know if you can. Oops. If you can see the. Can you see the decaling there? It was decals for the control panels. I guess you can't really see them, and they were just okay. The Academy decals are a little problematic from time to time, and I'll mention more about that later. So that's ready to go, and then we've got got a rough paint job here on the propellers. Silver, red, white, and black. Oh, and here's a little tip. I mentioned this before. I have this little thing, and it's really handy. I mean, it's got the little tiny holes in it, and it's got the little tubes. You can do stuff like this, or if you've got figures where you've cemented on a plastic piece so you can paint it, you can plunk them in there to dry. And this came from unused COVID tests. And so anyways, yeah, so I've repurposed those, and they're really handy for stuff like that. And yeah, so whatever. I don't know what kind of COVID test you have, but if you have that kind, save that stuff. It's handy. And no figures with this kit, unfortunately, and I decided not to try and dig any up. The only thing was I couldn't get this seat to fit straight. I don't know if you can see it. It's just a little offset, a little crooked. And I don't know. I took it off and put it back, and took it off and put it back. Anyways, it's a nice little aircraft, and something a little different. So I'm making good progress on it. Gonna, sand this down. I'm gonna let this dry overnight. I know, an hour or so is okay, but I like to leave it overnight. And so yeah, so there we go. There's that. Next. Here's the Trumpeter 172 Chinook. And well, here it is. The cockpit, I'm pretty pleased with the cockpit. The cockpit was nice. It went in real good. And for the most part, the kit went together well, and painted up all right. Didn't seem to want to take this yellow paint very well, but as you'll hear in a moment, I'm going to deal with that. I'm happy with the way the engines turned out. They look like the regular Lycoming engines. The big problem came when I went to apply the decals. This was my first trumpeter kit. I hadn't worked with trumpeter before or the decals. I followed the instructions, and this was the only one that went on mostly okay. Well, these ones with the insignia on the side, but you can always already see their silvering, even though I used Decal Fix and Microsol. But the biggest problem was when you went to manipulate these, it didn't matter what you used, what I used. They just broke apart. They just started to break apart. This little bit here, I was just trying to maneuver it in with a Q-tip. It was plenty moist and everything, and it just broke. It just broke. And likewise, when I went to put decals on the sides here, they just all broke apart. And so, anyways, I was pretty disappointed because I had high hopes for decaling this up nicely. But I think what I'm going to do now is I'm going to repaint it all black and have no decals, or I might just do black camo. Anyways, you can see I mostly got a Marines one here, but it looks like crap, and the other one broke and was a big disaster. So we must have symmetry. Symmetry is obligatory. So anyways, that's what I think I'm going to do. I'll either black camo it or just repaint it all black and have it as a CIA helicopter, super spy helicopter. Yeah. And so yeah, anyway, so it's going to be on the ground position. Got the door, the upper door is open, and yeah, so anyways, there it is. Still some work to be done. Got to put the main canopy on and finish up with the lower door here, and decide what I'm going to do about the painting. But overall, it went together really well. It was very disappointing to have problems with the decals. So anyways, yeah, there you go. There she be. So we'll get a final on that in the next little while. I'm doing this one for Ice Queen, not Ice Cream, Ice Queen scale models group build. She's got the helicopter build going on until June. So I'll finish this one up, and then I've got an Italeri Huey on its way, and so I'll be able to do that. So yeah, overall, I'm happy with the way the model went together. But yeah, it kind of sucks when you get to the end and you go to put the decals on, and I even tried some Academy decals, and they didn't seem to want to go on either. So I don't know what the problem is. Maybe it's me. Okay, I'm usually the problem. That's what the psychiatrist said. Yeah. Anyways, so yeah, so there's that too. Still working on the Mac AC truck, and I've learned a few things. This one isn't taking the paint very well. Yeah, this is going to be a brake fluid job. I should have left it. Here's another tip for you out there, people. But for model cars, when they're molded in the nice bright plastic colors, this was yellow. Tamiya Terrell P34. That's blue and white. You know, unless you're really, unless you're really good with the paints, I would suggest just doing the small details, wheels, undercarriage, stuff like that. But leave the natural color as it is. Don't try to mess with it. So like I say, I tried this. I put primer on it. I tried it with regular paint by airbrush, regular paint, airbrush paint, rattle can paint, and you can see it's still not. You know, I can't be that incompetent. So, anyways, just not meant to be. It'll still build up nicely, though. I hope. Okay, so, yeah, so there's that. We're done with that. Any other updates, Kev? Oh, yeah, the ICM Studebaker. That's on hold because I ran out of olive drab paint, and so did my hobby shop. Huh. So, waiting for that to come in, and then I'll get up there to get some more. But yeah, it's coming along. And I opened up the Churchill and started in on the figures there. You know, just doing the pairing off and little bits of, you know, taking the bits of seams. The figures are great, no complaints, but, you know, there's always those little seam marks you gotta take. And if you're like me, you trim stuff anyways. I mean, even if it doesn't really look like it needs it, you give it a thing anyways, give it a go. Yeah, so. Okay, so, now, on to the star of the show. So, I was browsing around the other night, and I came across this. And it caught my attention because, well, it's a Canadian motif. If you don't already know, I'm Canadian. Living beyond the west coast of Canada on Vancouver Island, where there's a couple of military bases. We have CFB Esquimalt, which is where Canada's Pacific Fleet resides, or would reside if we had a fleet. And we have CFB Comox too, which is an Army Air Base, and we've got a couple other training bases. We've got the artillery range up the way, and so yeah, lots of military stuff. This is decaled out for the rescue, and the so anyways, yeah. So de Havilland has a long history in Canada, and Canada has a long history of aerospace, especially in connection to the British aerospace. Just down the way here at Nanaimo Airport, the road leading into it is called Spitfire Way, and during World War II, it was used for Spitfire training. A lot of the aircraft were manufactured here in Canada and then shipped over to Great Britain. And also the pilots were trained here, all over Canada, all different places. As a matter of fact, the first spy school was established just outside of Winnipeg, Camp X. They were really imaginative with their code names back then. Yeah, Camp X, and that trained the first modern spies, really, and black ops people as well. And so, yeah, so Canada had a big role in doing a lot of training and manufacturing and so forth for the Second World War. And so, yeah, so de Havilland did a lot of manufacturing here, and very synonymous with Canadian aerospace. especially in the rest of Canada, not including Quebec. And their aircraft, they had the single-engine de Havilland Beaver, which is the quintessential bush plane. Single engine, skis, floats, wheels, short takeoff and landing. And then its sister aircraft was the Otter. And then that was brought out to the Twin Otter. Twin Otter still flies today, as well as otters, and there's quite a few beavers too. It was the beavers that really opened up, beavers and otters that really opened up the Canadian North. You know, they flying among the remote communities, military bases, the Dew Line, and as we see here, they did air sea rescue. The modern version seats about 20 people. It's used quite a bit in short haul flights and commuter aircraft. So a very successful aircraft. Originally designed in the early 1960s, and it was originally conceived to have 2 radial engines, but that was found to not work. And it wasn't until you know, they could put a couple of 550 horsepower Pratt & Whitneys in there that it made it worthwhile to do that. Okay, so let's take a look at it. Oh, and there's a little surprise. Some of you may already know this, but there's a little surprise coming up about this. So we've got Revell 172. Gives you the dimensions, 21.1 centimeters by 27.3 centimeters. I like that when they put that on the outside, so you know how much shelf space it's going to take up, or how much space you need for a diorama. Their catalog number is 04901. Package in good condition. It came from Amazon. Cost about $30, including tax. And got squished a little bit. Revell has it here as a skill level 3. And it used to be, and for the older Revell kits, the skill level really just referred to the number of parts. So the more parts, the higher the skill level. And but now they've changed that, and now it actually reflects better the level of skill you're actually going to need. So this is skill level 3, and they say here all Revell kits are divided into 5 categories. 1, easy snap kits not requiring any glue or paint. 2, simple kits with up to approximately 30 parts to glue and paint. Number 3, more demanding models with up to 100 parts. Number 4, kits with up to 150 parts for more experienced modelers. And level 5, difficult models with over 150 parts requiring a high level of skill. And especially for the older kits, I used to refer to this as the frustration level for Revell kits, and that's still true to a point. Although they've done better. They turned me around. You know, when I started getting back into the plastic models, I didn't want to have anything to do with Revell. They had the worst reputation when I was a kid, and for good reason. And so, but anyways, I gave a couple of their kits a try, and they were pretty good. You'll be seeing Project X before too long. And that was a Revell kit from, I think it was 1983. Anyways, and it was everything wrong with Revell kits. But I won't tease you anymore about that. You'll be seeing that soon. So yeah, so we get on the side here. On the back, of course, they're selling some of their products. I got some of this with the Titanic kit. And it's pretty good glue. It's pretty good cement. And the Titanic kit's pretty good as well. I sort of started on it. It was a double. One 700 and one 1200. I got one for me, and my wife gets the 1200. Because when my first ship model, she's Filipino, and so she's like, oh, why didn't you get a Titanic? And then we can get the little figures. And oh my God, women, spelled WIMMEN apostrophe. Anyways, so yeah, so she gets the little one to go on her desk when it's done. I primed it up, got it started. Pretty simple kit, not much going on with it. But if you know me, you know I rotate around. I was making the joke, I need a round table with just a space in the middle and one of those rotating stools. So I can just rotate around from kit to kit to kit. Part of it's my ADHD, part of it's just, sometimes I don't want to get involved in a particular thing. Or it's at the point where, I just don't want to do that tonight. So I'll work on something else. So, but they've got some pretty neat kits here. They've got the BAE Hawk T1A, which is a really neat looking aircraft. And commercial airliner, Airbus A350. Westland Lynx helicopter. They've even got Spaceship 2 here. So they're coming into the 21st century. And then we have the throwback, the Junkers Ju-88A with bombs. And then, of course, they indicate all the different things, all the different Revell stuff you can buy. And note here, you will find many other true to the original scale models, as well as an extensive accessory and airbrush range in the Revell catalog. So there you go. And on the side here, the Twin Otter is a very versatile aircraft that can be used in the transport, reconnaissance, or rescue flight roles, operating on wheels, skids, or floats. Twin Otter first flew in May 1965. Production for the 100 series was started in 1966, and 115 Twin Otters were produced until it was replaced by the 200 series with an extended nose. She has excellent short takeoff and landing capabilities, and is used in both civilian and military roles. The aircraft received that's Pratt & Whitney PT-6A engines with 652 horsepower and can carry a 2.6 ton load. Very nice. And here on the side, we've just got some close-up details. And there's a paint list on the side here. Yellow, fiery red, light gray, and black. So I'm not going to be doing the rescue version. I'm going to be doing the float version. Here in Nanaimo Harbor, we have Harbor Air, and they fly all over the place. Short haul trips over to Vancouver, the Sunshine Coast, as well as up to the bush, and run a regular charter service. Yeah, they have a couple of otters, they have a couple of beavers, and some pretty cute pilots too. At least the female ones, don't get me wrong. Hello. Okay, yes, and so very competent people. And also, there's one version in this kit. The float version is actually decaled for an aircraft that still flies out of Victoria Harbour, which is about 100 kilometers south of here. Victoria is the provincial capital at the south end of the island. Okay, so enough of geography and stuff like that. Let's get into the box. No exterior cellophane. Box is taped. Side opener. Some people don't like that. I don't mind it as long as they don't bend and fold things to get them in there. This looks to be just lovely. There we go. There we go. Okay, so that'll be decals. That'll be instructions. We'll start with the write-up here. DHC-6 twin Otter was originally planned as a natural progression from the very successful radial engine DHC-3 Otter. It was quickly found that two radial engines would be impractical, and the design was finalized using two Pratt & Whitney turboprop engines, fitted to a wing of increased span and a lengthened Otter fuselage. Construction started in late 1964, and the first flight of the prototype was in May 1965. Total of 845 twin Otters have been built in 3 basic variants when production ended in 1988. Production line was reopened in 2010 for Series 400 aircraft to be built by Viking Aircraft, which again is based in Victoria. Previously, Viking Aircraft had the contract for manufacturing all the parts for de Havilland aircraft that were no longer in production. And then in 2008-2009, they bought the patents outright, all the de Havilland patents outright, which had been owned by Bombardier up till then. And then they started production on the Series 400 aircraft. All twin Otters have impressive short takeoff and landing capability, can be fitted with wheel or ski landing gear. Short nose versions can also be used on floats. Flown by a crew of 2, twin Otters have been used in many remote parts of the world by military and civilian operators for tasks including passenger transport, search and rescue, medical evacuation, and parachuting. As a matter of fact, the U.S. Army uses twin Otters for some of their parachuting demonstrations. Again, powered by 2 Pratt & Whitney PT-6A turboprop engines, cruising speed of 184 miles per hour at altitude, wingspan 65 feet, and the length is 51 feet 9 inches. As I said, carries approximately 20 passengers, or can be used for search and rescue and ambulance duties as well, medical and so forth. Okay, so we'll set those aside, and let's see what we've got here. Okay, and so we have one bag. Won't need this again. And just a little bit of blistering on the bag from Desquishin. Okay, so let's see what we've got. We've got our clear parts here. Oh, yeah, that's what I was going to say. When I don't just buy kits anymore. I always go to scale mates. Twice burned, 3rd time shy, 5 times burned, 4th time, 5th time shy, 6th time shy, whatever. And so I went to look at this, and this was originally tooled in 1983 as a Matchbox kit. Now it's 2nd generation Matchbox under Universal Toys, but it was 1983, right after the relaunch. And they were putting out pretty good kits. It wasn't until a little bit later, 3 years later, that they really started to fall down. And then after Universal Toys, when everything went to mainland China, it all went to, you know where, to mainland China. Okay, so yeah, so we've got quite a few windows here, and everything looks pretty flawless. I'm not seeing any scratches, imperfections. Everything looks good. There's nice detail. They've even got the little lines where, you know, the windows go up and down. So that's kind of cool. Hardly any flash. A little bit there, but that doesn't count. Take that off. And just a tiny bit around the edges here to be trimmed, which you would expect. So yeah, perfect condition. Very nice. And then we've got sprue number 1. And as you can see here, this is not it's not a small aircraft. I mean, here's the 172 OV-10. You know, it's like same scale, big, you know, good size aircraft. Alright, so here we got the two parts of the fuselage, the nose cones. Control panel here, there's some detail. The seats are just seats. Unfortunately no figures, even though this was a Matchbox tool. Looks like we've got two different, oh that's right, they said. Yeah, so it would be the short nose cone for the float version, and the long nose cone for the ski and wheel version. And nice detail here. Not much as far as panel lines go, but they're here. And I'm seeing very little flash. You know, in the windows here, there's hardly any. Just a teeny bit that would need to be trimmed there. Just the little bits, there's that you'd expect. There's a little bit there. But yeah, certainly nothing out of the ordinary at all. Tooling looks nice, and the molding looks nice. Okay, next we have the props, the wheels. Looks like I guess that's the floor of the cockpit. Some struts here. Here's the floats. I'm going to do the float version, I think, maybe with a little water diorama. I have some Woodland Scenics water effects, so I'll give that a try. There's just enough there. Plus, we see the float planes all the time. They're back and forth here, back and forth here. Of course, we're right beside the ocean. And Canada's interior is just full of small lakes and so on and so forth. So it made a lot of sense to have the floats. You could just pretty much put them down anywhere you wanted. Tie them up and off you go. And so likewise, ski, that was a little more problematic, but could be done. And especially when you're talking about winter air sea rescue, very important. Yeah, so again, no flash. Spinners are nice. A couple of teeny tiny parts. There's a little bit of flash here on the propellers. That's pretty common. But everything else looks to be in pretty good shape. And sprue number 3. We have the wings and the skis if you're going to use them, engine cowlings, stabilizers, engine housing, more skis. Yeah, well, there we go. Alright, so tucked inside all the legal schmeagle stuff, as I like to call it, which we know where that goes. Unfortunately, it's expensive gloss paper. And we get a very nice decal set. Copyright 2014 Revell. This is Revell of Germany. And it indicates a subsidiary of Hobbyco. Never heard that before. Okay, something more to do a bit of research on. Okay, and then here we've got printed in Italy. We've got control panel decals, seatbelt decals. And we have you can tell these are a little old. This is 2014, but by 2014 it was no longer the CAF. The Stephen Harper government rightly changed it back to RCAF for Royal Canadian Air Force, as they did with the Navy, Royal Canadian Navy. And but I'm not going to use those for my own reasons. I'm not going to use those. I'm going to use the Victoria Vancouver Island based West Coast Air decaling. Got some nice albatross here. I don't think I've flown West Coast Air. I've flown Harbor Air out in Nanaimo. But I haven't flown there. I did, they do a lot of tours and going back into the bush kind of stuff as well. Yeah, they do, like going into fishing camps and hunting camps. All those foreigners who come in and pay big money to kill our fish and wild game, which is okay, I guess, because they bring in a lot of money. But that's all I'm going to say. So yeah, so we've got some nice decal choices here, which is nice, and I'll have some nice RCAF Canadian flags, and the bilingual stuff can be it'll go where bilingual stuff belongs. You can guess where that is. Okay. Sorry if that upsets anyone, but you're not the only one upset. Here we go. Okay, so I mentioned this was a STOL, short takeoff and landing aircraft. And of course I looked it up. It depends on the engine, but for a takeoff run over water, it requires about 1,200 feet to take off, and about 1,800 feet if it's a really short distance and they have to climb at least 50 feet. Like for example, if you're taking off and there's tree line. In case you didn't know, there's lots of trees in Canada. Excuse me. Water, rocks, and trees. That's Canada. Yes. I won't sing the Song of Hiawatha. You can look that up for yourselves. Excuse me. Anyways, beautiful country. I love it. And so it doesn't need a lot of space. For regular runway, I saw it noted that 1,000-foot runway is adequate. Obviously, taking off over water, or if you have to rotate up severely, you're going to need a little bit more space. But still, 500-600 meters and you're in the air, or safely on the ground, whichever. Yeah. All right, so we'll get into the instructions here. And these are hybrid instructions. They are the original Matchbox instructions, which you'll see in a minute, that have been incorporated into the new Revell style instructions. So, which are, I've got no complaints about. That's one of the great things about the new Revell, their instructions. You know, they give a nice, nice detail, history of the subject. Not, it's all in black and white, but hey, what the heck. You get a nice picture of the completed model. They give you all the legal stuff, tips, the assembly glossary for the icons, what everything means. And they give you a list of colors used. This would be all of the colors for all of this, both of the schemes. I haven't really looked into which, you know, obviously the Canadian Forces Rescue one was yellow. I'll have to look at the at the other one. And yeah, so here we go. These are the original Matchbox instructions. Revell hasn't redone those. And right at the beginning here, they indicate, you know, you have to choose which is which. Which version are you going to build? And they show you with the float plane is short nose. The ski plane is short nosed. And with the Canadian Forces Rescue, you have the choice of either the short nose or the longer nose. So I'm going to be doing this one, short nose float plane. Isn't that a nice profile? Look at that. Just kind of sits right down there, floating on the water. Could land anywhere you want. Throw out your fishing rod. Put your barbecue out on the float. Cook her up. Go tuck yourself in and have the little waves rock yourself to sleep. I don't know how you could go wrong with that, really. Anyways, that's the nature boy in me coming out. No dirty talk about that. Okay, so here we go. Again, no figures, which is unfortunate, but I don't think you can really see very much once everything's all put together anyways. It doesn't have, you know, there is no option for cockpit open, because it's, you know, you get in by a door, you don't get in by the cockpit. And so, yeah, so you choose your version, and then, as with most, you start with the cockpit construction. And then we, you know, move to the windows, side of the fuselage, both sides. Put the pieces together. That's for version D. That's this one. That's it. I mean, look at that. Isn't that a nice profile? I mean, come on. Heck. That's much nicer than any of them, I think. But anyways. Okay, putting the fuselage pieces together. The bulkhead, you got a dual bulkhead here. Make sure everything fits properly. It's Revell. Let's hope it will. And then you've got the different nose cones. They're indicating some weight. Either way, whichever one you choose. Weight. I use the play putty you get in the dollar store. Kind of like silly putty. Usually weighs enough for whatever you need it for. Okay, and then we go to putting the wings together. Engine nacelles onto the wings, motors, da-da-da-da-da-da. Indicates to tape and weight. And here we go again, at different options. Short, simple steps, get nice blow-ups. I won't have to worry about wheels. Lots of extra wheels. Wheels left over from this. And then we've got all the different variations here. Here's for version D. You put the floats together. Float struts. Da da da, la 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 la. Put it together. And then we get the paint scheme here. This will be for the RCAF version. This is the one that I'm doing. And it looks like the indication here is was ist I? Was ist I? Well, E seems to be white gloss. And H night blue. Blue and white, okay. Like the water, like the ocean. That suits me all right. Okay, and so there we go, and there's the decaling, West Coast Air, the albatross, ID markings. Yeah, I'm going to go with that. Okay, so we'll bring this in under an hour, and thank you to all who watch. Over 400 subscribers now, and I really appreciate everyone's time. An hour's quite a bit of time, and appreciate any of it that people spend with me. Okay, so as far as evaluating the kit is concerned, I use a 12-point scale. 10 standard points, 2 points for packaging, 2 points for sprues, 3 points for the parts, and 3 points for the instructions. Each of those 4 categories can get a quarter-point bonus for any wow factors. And there's up to a full bonus point for value. And I consider value to be not only, the intrinsic cost of the kit, but how many hours of entertainment I'm going to get out of it, or frustration for that matter. If there's not enough parts, too many parts, based on what you paid, where we've all had kits where they put hundreds of tiny little teeny weeny little parts that could easily have been molded in or whatever. So that can be kind of frustrating. And so anyways, I'll put up a card on it. There's a video on that, or you can look it up in the history of my channel. And as always, a shout out for Hobby Barn. Um, we lost Terry earlier this month on the 2nd of March. Terry Sr., a good guy, a good friend of the hobby. And there's a GoFundMe page for Terry Sr. of Hobby Barn. If you haven't already contributed and you feel you can, it would be great if you could do that. You know, his family are good people. They had a lot of expenses leading up to his final days, and every little bit helps. So if you can, go check that out. Okay, and one final thing. This box art. I love this box art. I love this box art because this aircraft could be flying over where I live. Okay, so the aircraft is here, and I live over here. Yeah. But yeah, as you can see, forest, trees, mountains. What's not to love? Anyways, waxing poetic about my country here. Okay, so yeah, if you ever have a chance, come to visit Canada. We've got some beautiful scenery, beautiful lakes, forests, great fishing, great hunting, in spite of what people say. Lots of hiking opportunities, all sorts of outdoor activities, and just a beautiful natural place. I don't know if it still is, but for a while our province here, British Columbia, the tourism motto was supernatural, and that's exactly what we are. We're supernatural. Don't expect sandy beaches. They're mostly stony, rocky ones. Don't expect warm water. It's mostly cold. But you can expect warm people and lots of good food and lots of great fellowship. So there you go. Enough of that. Okay, so packaging, 1.75. I had to take a quarter point off for the squished box. I've seen worse with Amazon, but it was there, so that's it. Sprues, everything was complete. Very little. Flash was minimal. No molding bubbles, holes, weird things like that. Ejection pin marks. So full 2 points there. Parts, quality of plastic looked good. Detail was not super, but nice. As you can see from the picture here, there aren't a lot of really heavily defined panel lines. You know, I mean, this is aluminum that's stretched over, and you know the way they build things now. There were no warped or broken parts. Decals were good. Got 2 different schemes. Hard to go wrong. And but they do get an extra quarter point bonus because you have the choice. You have the choice of wheels with skis, or floats. And so, yeah, you get an extra quarter point for that, guys. And for the instructions, 2.75, quarter point off because there's nothing in color. I know I'm mean, but that's one of the criteria. So, but everything else was great. The instructions were fine. The glossary of terms and steps and all that kind of stuff is good. So 2.75 there. And I'm going to give it 3/4 of a point for value. It's a 172 kit. For me, $30 is kind of at the upper end of that. But I think it's a really good value for what you get in this particular kit. So yeah, so 3/4 of a point there for the bonus, and that brings us to 10.5, which seems to be a pretty consistent rating over the last few kits. I try to be fair, not too tough. and give everybody the benefit of the doubt. But I also try to, I do my research on kits before I buy them. And so usually by the time they arrive, I'm pretty sure what I'm going to get, and not too many disappointments. And so, yeah, 10.5 is a really good score. And this is an interesting and different subject. And of course, Canada. Oh, Canada, we love you. We don't love our government, but we love our country. That could be said for just about everywhere, I'm sure. Okay, here we go. So that's it. And thanks to everyone for watching. As I said before, thanks to all my subscribers. I still can't believe I'm over 400. And everyone's been so generous in their help and their support and giving me tips and all sorts of stuff. It's a great community, wonderful community. And I've been fortunate in that I haven't run into too many nasty jacks out there. Not talking about my cat. You know who I'm talking about. So yeah, so that's it for today. And thanks again for everyone's time. And I have something else coming, I believe tomorrow. And so there'll be another review coming. And also, the final on the OV10 and a couple of other things. So lots of stuff going on. Started digging out the garden yesterday. And as the weather gets nicer, be spending more time outside, which is where we should be. And less time inside, but living here in the middle of a temperate rainforest, we can always count on plenty of rain days to work on model kits. Yeah, work on model kits. All right, so thanks to everyone again, and special thanks to Zinzan Scale Modeling and Ice Queen 7 and her channel on Facebook. It's a great group there. We have a lot of fun. Get together on Tuesdays for a little chat. Sundays, once a month for this, once a month for that. So it's a great little group. So check it out, Ice Queen 7 or Ice Queen's Scale Models. All right, so that's it for today. And so thanks again. And we will see you on the flip side. Bye now.